Yuji was a poor child who was bullied by his dad at a young age for his lack of talent. He lived in the shadows of his genius sister who made her family rich with her talents. But when a tragedy struck their home, Yuji became an orphan that was trained by evil people to become the coldest elite soldier in the world. His journey, however, was one of the coldest anyone has ever had to witness. His parents always neglected him because he never had the same talent his sister Kazuki did. At a young age, her sketches would marvel her father and her talents exceeded that of famous artists, allowing her to win numerous art competitions and have her work sell for millions of dollars. Yuji grew up avoiding his little sister because everyone made fun of him when he was with her. Kazuki wanted to fill the void her brother was feeling, so she became the only person who would play with him and even teach him how to throw balls. They would spend time together, and his sister supported him through everything, encouraging him to reach for his dreams because he had extraordinary potential. She was the only thing that ever brought him joy and inspired him to become like her. Even the bad drawings he would create, she would treasure them to boost his confidence. Their father, however, continued mocking Yuji's work to the point where Yuji destroyed his own work from embarrassment. On a random day, Yuji met a strange man inside his home who asked him if he would like a piece of chocolate from an interesting box. His father called Yuji an embarrassment, but the mysterious man gives a sly smile. As years passed, Kazuki began hiding her talent and even cancelled her art studies in Paris. Instead, she would spend time reading manga with her brother, saying that he should do this to make friends rather than being lonely his entire life. She doesn't want Yuji to become the same person as their father, and tells him to start working on making some friends. At the same time, her occasional paintings became the sole income of their family, but their treatment of Yuji would get worse. His family would go out to eat every night, but only left cold stale bread for him. The only way he could eat the dry bread was by soaking it with water. Upon seeing this, Kazuki screamed at him to eat any of the food in the fridge, but Yuji tells her that his parents would be mad at him if he did that. Kazuki's sadness grows, apologizing for not knowing how badly Yuji's been treated and yelling at her parents for his mistreatment. Even then, nothing improved. His father would continue to blatantly show his hatred, and his mom began openly neglecting him to avoid his father's wrath. Once, Yuji came home late and told his sister that he was playing with a friend. Kazuki wonders if she's a girl, which he tells her that it was, but worries that she would bully his new friend. She tells him that she's trying to determine if his friends are appropriate for him and gets mad at him for constantly making friends with girls. Kazuki's jealousy grows, and she yells at him that he needs to get her permission to be friends with girls. Yuji accepts, and she holds his hand, telling him that she'll find the right girl for him one day. Later that same day, Kazuki asked him if he would like to take a bath with her as normal siblings. Kazuki told him that siblings always do this, and asked him if he'd ever kissed a girl before like they do in the manga. Kazuki kissed him that day, telling him that this is the true love she shares with him, and taught him all kinds of things. Eventually, she enrolled at a regular high school, and joined the basketball team to hide her incredible talents. Her friends became like pawns of hers as she manipulated them. But her influence extended to her manipulation of her parents, and that scared Yuji more than anything. But Yuji depended on his sister, wishing that he could continue living that way forever until the day of the tragedy. A bus had crashed into a ravine, and a girl with red hair was the only survivor. Yuji's father fell into depression, and turned to the bottle. His wrath began growing, and his mother began hiding him whenever his father came home. The only thing Yuji would remember is hearing his father yelling at his mom as she would just take it and say, "I'm sorry." He became the worst father imaginable. So Yuji and his mother ran away to a new home where she finally treated him like a normal son. He would enjoy her hand cooking and felt like he was living in heaven even if they were broke. As long as they were away from their father, they found happiness together like that. But their peace wouldn't last, and a year later, Yuji's father had finally found them again. He tells Yuji's mom that she will lay him another golden egg, and Yuji tries to tell his father to stop. He couldn't bear seeing his mother like that, but his dad knocked him into the fridge. As this occurred, Yuji stared at his father and was determined to end him. He remembered his sister asking him which hand he would use to kill a man. He comforts his mom, and she asks him how far they should run this time. She tells him to run first and that she will join him afterward, giving him her entire life savings. She tells him to run to the train station, and tells him good luck doing it on his own. Without a second thought, Yuji obeys his mom and runs to the train station. But hours pass and he begins hearing the ambulance sirens. As Yuji heads back to his home, he finds that his father had been slashed, and enters his home, only to find that he would never be able to talk to his mother again after that day. His consciousness faded, and he later woke up inside a hospital with only a note left from his mother. She asked him for forgiveness, wondering where she went wrong, and wishing that he could keep living on. With nowhere to go as an orphan, the mysterious man, Ray, became his guardian and began dressing him up as his little sister. But Yuji attempted to ignore his harassing guardian, as he now had walls where he could eat and sleep in. Nights passed, but on one of them, Ray's bodyguard came and was ready to harass Yuji, but met his doom by Yuji's hands. Ray came in, surprised that Yuji was able to follow through with it, and congratulates him on defending himself as he should have. Yuji asks if Ray is mad. Ray told him that he will make him into a strong tool, and sent him to his military compound to train him. His days were spent becoming the coldest soldier, and he happened to be Ray's favorite pupil. But that only caused the other kids to keep bullying him. There was only one person who was kind to him, a girl named Marlene who had no memory of her past. She would treat him and even save her food for him, and he thought that she was the only person he could rely on. Ray would go by the name of Oslo on this island, and would even train using real knives with Yuji. He taught him to rely on knives and to kill before he gets killed. After all, everyone in the world was his enemy, including his own family. Oslo brainwashed him into believing that he was his only ally. The day of the final exam came, and his test was to kill the person standing in front of him. But it happened to be none other than Marlene. He prepared to face off against her, and he began running towards her, punching her and knocking her down. His agility surpassed hers, and his blows knocked her down. Even as she tried to stand back up, he delivered a kick that knocked her back onto the ground. But his memories of his mother being hurt by his father began flashing in his head. He remembered the images he saw that day, and his mind began shattering during the match. Marlene used that to her advantage, and kicked him down, standing on top of him and smiling. She began punching him, and Yuji believed that this was all to pay for his sin of ending his father. Before he knew it, Yuji had lost and became a disappointment for Oslo. Inside the jail cell, Marlene comes in to treat his wounds, crying and apologizing for hurting him because she wished she hadn't done that to him. Marlene would continue trying to feed him and being the only one talking to him until the day of her graduation. She told him goodbye and that she would see him again, but that was the last time he ever saw and talked to Marlene. The nurse revealed the sad news to Yuji after her first job, and Yuji wondered if he'd been able to save her by beating her instead of being kind. After graduating, Yuji took on his first assassination mission, and disguised as a maid into a rich man's room. While he was distracted, Yuji managed to complete his mission. His assassinations continued being successful, until one day they broke into Oslo's home. The law enforcement destroyed all of the people standing in their way, and nearly cornered Oslo after destroying all of his security. They discovered an underground passage and a steel door that guarded it. After blowing it up, the only thing they found was a white-haired child sitting inside, and Yuji's white hair fell off. Masako looks at the boy, realizing that